Welcome into the next tutorial for Keyword Spy. This tutorial is for the content editor. I'm going to be showing you how to use it really quick. If you just want to go in quick and just jam a keyword in there and go as quickly as possible, this is good for spray and pray. This is good for people who don't have a lot of time. It's going to still build in a lot of the knowledge we got from the report section into the content editor. So there's kind of super quick, and then quick. How about that? So the super quick way is just you put in your keyword. I'll show you in a second, but you put in your keyword. You don't wait for the test to complete. You just use the first rank brain test it does, which is pretty good keywords anyway, as good as any other tool out there. You get those plugged into the content editor with the special kind of differences that we have in the content editor, which are really interesting. And you go. That's super quick. Super quick is you wait for the test to be done, and then you plug in a competitor in there. You work from the competitors page, and you go, and I'll show you that as well. And then quick, which is still the fastest way to make a page with the best possible ranking factors involved, is the compared to super quick and super quick slightly longer, and that will be the full content editor tutorial, which I'll take you through now. So grab yourself a drink of any kind you like and get ready to do some SEO, and we're going to take a look at the content editor. Okay, so this is the Keyword Spy dashboard. Now, what you would do to go super quick, you'd go to Keyword Spy, you put in your keyword, and then immediately once it finishes the results. So for example, I'm going to put in how to train a kitten. I'll say submit search. Just leave it alone, let it percolate like this. Have a sip of your beer while you do. Or your kombucha, or whatever it is you like to drink. And wait for it to fetch the results. You need to have at least done one of the tests. So it's going to finish the first rank brain test, which is analyzing the main SERPs. And once you get back that information, now it's in the system. Now I can take this and I can go to the editor and I can work on it here. I can click on the editor, I can click down and click on the keyword I want to work on, how to train a kitten. Then that gets put here, right? That was just my example. I'm going to keep working on the how to advertise in Pinterest keyword I was working on before. Here's the other way you can get to the content editor really quick. You can go to reports, find the keyword you want to work on, and click the editor, and it'll be automatically working on that keyword for you. So let's say, for the sake of example, that this is the keyword I just plugged in, and it's done the rank brain test. Now I can work on it. So this is what you want to do. What I would do is I'd click here to go back to the report. I'd go to the competitor page analysis. Then what I want to do, because I want to have the proper DOM vector. Now, if you don't know what that means, that's the document object model. I talked about it in a couple tutorials in the reports tutorials. Basically, we're analyzing the machine learned HTML that Google uses as a ranking factor. And we break down some of it here for you, such as the headings, the heading 1, heading 2, H2, H3, H4, you know, how much they use, how many they use, and how many words there are on average per, and the words they have in there. That's for the headings. And then for the DOM vector, it also includes all the other tags they're using, your competitors are using. It's one of the most robust competitive analysis tools on the planet. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have an analogous page to that which I'm trying to make. So for example, if I'm making a middle of the sales, the sales funnel, has information queries up here. It has information transactional queries here and transactional queries at the tip. Let's say I'm working here on the informational transactional query, the no-do query, as Google calls it. And so those are often blog review style pages. And so what I would do to go super quick, instead of analyzing the winners and distilling the HTML you should be using, I'm just going to copy some of their HTML. Pros, I get to go really quick. I get a winning HTML. It's going to be the type of page I want to build already. Hopefully it'll work with my content management system. You have to know a little bit about HTML to do this properly. If you don't know anything about HTML, ignore this entirely. But if you want to get the full power of the system and you want to be using a document object model that will give you boosts or will not demote you, what I would do is I would just click one of the ones here that is going to be close to what I'm doing. So I'm going to say, let's say this how to advertise on Pinterest from Larry Ludwig here. Let's assume this is the kind of page I want to make. You can click it and view it and go, yeah, this is exactly the kind of page I want to make. This is a no-do, obviously affiliate style, review style page. That's exactly what I want to make here. So, okay, fine. So I'm going to grab this URL here. And then what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to click back on this handy little icon to go back to the content editor. And I'm just going to say, import this URL. I'll paste it in and I'll import that content. Take another sip of beer. Automatically then you see that the content of your competitor is pulled in. The entire page is pulled in. Both the header, their navigation, and the footer down here is pulled in. You can see at the bottom with all their navigation. So then there's a number of things you can do here. Basically, you're going to be deleting a lot of stuff you don't need. I like looking at to see what kind of pages they have, because this is just a nice list of the pages they got. They've got affiliate marketing, they have how-to, they have education, they have what products, they have blogging, how to start blogging, how to make a money-making blog. Interesting. This is my competitor who I'm going against. One of them anyway. They have digital marketing, they have SEO. Wow, okay. This is great news for me because their site is so over-bloated on different information that is from different places. On different topics, rather. So the information is on different topics, and I want to focus on this one topic of how to advertise on Pinterest. So it's great that Larry here, thanks Larry, it's great that Larry has decided to overinflate his content here and go on too many different topics, because it'll be easier for me to beat him. The thing that I want to point out is, and this is the important thing, if you scroll down to the very bottom of the page, you notice it's got a little preview here for you of the document object model nesting, that of where you put the cursor. So I put the cursor here. I've already got, if you watch the reports, you saw me carefully distilling the document object model of all my competitors. Well, now just steal one that you think looks pretty good. And so it's like, great, this is all stolen here. I can get rid of all this cruft. I don't need all of this. And now I have the document object model stuff. I got this in the right div main article header, and this is in the main article div p. Great, looks great. This is a distillation of what my competitors are probably using. It's a guess. You might be like, well, Josh, that could be an outlier. That might not be what everyone else is using. Yeah, but I told you, you want to look at it first to make sure it's what you want. And I told you this is going super, super quick. So of course, when you go super, super quick, you're going to miss some things. The pros of going super, super quick, you can generate a page in 5 minutes. I'm about to show you. The cons are that you're going to miss a bunch of power. You're going to leave a bunch of ranking factors on the table. So take your pick. Do you want to go super, super quick? Or do you want to leave, or do you want to get every single ranking boost possible? We will build the system in the future that it will build in all these ranking features, even going super, super quick. We're going to try to maximize efficiency and quickness and have it auto-magically with an AI that is yet to be built, that is smarter than any other existing AI. We have plans for this. It will stick in ranking factors already. This is the introductory grandfather price. We just released this tool, super, super quick way of going. So now, what do you do? Okay, well, you want to generate the title tag. You want to add the winning words. Now, it's going to add the winning words. Now, these winning words are going to be better if you go and allow it to finish processing. If you let it finish processing, it'll be better, but then I submit it, and I go, okay, so how to advertise on Pinterest, promote your business with Pinterest ads, great. This is a great title. I would just title case this stuff here. It keeps it lowercase because it was lowercase type when I typed it in. Otherwise, do that there. For the meta description, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add the winning words. That for the meta description testing we did, which is separate than the winning words for the title tag, by the way. I'll say submit. It generates me a short meta description. I can make this longer. Now let me show you how to use ChatGPT to make some of these things longer and better. So first off, I'll take this meta description to go super fast, and I'll say, here's an example meta description. Please adjust it to be better written, more engaging, get more clicks, and slightly longer. And I put it in here. One thing I have to remind you, you can't use ChatGPT to do everything in SEO. You can't rely on ChatGPT to be your SEO consultant. It's just not smart enough. All it does is go off of rumor and hearsay. And if you want to go off of rumor and hearsay, well, then you might as well roll some dice. You might as well take this 6-sided die and go, odd, I'll put the EMQ in the title, even I won't. Even I won't, because that's just as useful, and you have the same likelihood of winning if you just listen to rumor and hearsay, quite frankly. So that's why we don't use ChatGPT to do everything. But you can use ChatGPT to get some extra oomph and to speed things up tremendously in little pieces after using a tool like Keyword Spy, which is going to use its AI to generate and find out what all of the ranking factors are and what all your keywords should be for your particular niche. So let's see how we would do that. So now it goes, okay, looking to boost your business's online presence, discover the power of Pinterest advertising, and unlock new opportunities for growth. Great. It goes on too long. Stop generating. We want this as the meta description. So we're going to take this. We're going to go back here to Keyword Spy. I'm going to put that into the meta description. I'm going to save it. Okay. So now I've got a title tag, and I'm just going to title case this: How to advertise on Pinterest. Looking to boost your business's online presence, discover the power of Pinterest advertising, unlock new opportunities for growth. Great. That's a perfect title tag when going quick. That's a perfect meta description when going quick. Remember, I've already done a content brief, but let's assume you didn't. So you're just going to be like, okay, you're just going to name it How to Advertise Pinterest. Great. That's a great URL. Okay, there you go. I wouldn't use a category, by the way. I would just have it flat on the root. And I would avoid repeating any words in the URL. Because this is yourdomain.com, there's no repetition of keywords in the URL. Just that's my suggestion. If you want more information about why I suggest these things, you've got to join SEO University. Join SEO University, and I will give you copious amounts of hours and hours of testing that I've used to determine why and where you should be doing these things. Okay, so I put in how to advertise Pinterest in the URL. I redid the title tag here. I redid the meta description here. So that's good. So now I saved that. So now I've got all that information done. I have the right document object model here, or at least I have a potentially right one, a good one that one of my main competitors had. And so I've got that there. So hopefully that will make me machine learned look more in terms of the code, more like the higher ranking competitors. All right, you might be like, okay, Josh, but you just stole a competitor's article. Surely we can't just use a competitor's article and run with it. No, of course not. We're going to have to go down here and we're going to have to get rid of this stuff here. We're going to have to get rid of all this craft at the bottom as well. Make sure you delete that. Get rid of this next steps. We don't need this as well. Here we go. Okay. So now here's an interesting thing what we want to do. We're going to run a content score on the competitor's content. We're going to see, all right, they are perfectly optimized. Look at that. That's fantastic. The readability is 63. That's the Flesch Kincaid readability. Higher is usually better because that means it's more ubiquitous to everyone being able to understand it. Yes, I said it's more ubiquitous to everyone being able to understand it. That's something of an oxymoron, isn't it? I'm using all these big 5-cent words when I'm talking about you want to use 1-cent words quite often. It's optimized, great, based on this NLP optimization AI that we wrote. It, however, is using 4,000 words when the average is 2,500. It is using 29 headers when the average is 34. It has 131 words in total where the average is 144 in the headers. First paragraph is 44 words as opposed to 157 being the average. Here's a new thing that we've built in. Now this is next generation that absolutely nobody else has. Look at the predictability score. This is the predictability of the writing. This is the amount of predictability from a next generation way of determining whether it is AI content. That's the predictability of the top 20 of your SERP. You want a lower predictability score because that means you are less likely to be flagged for AI content, whether it was AI written or not. 66% predictable is pretty high, especially when the SERP average here is 63%. Okay, so we are like, all right, fine. We've got the meta description, the title tag. We've got an H1 here already. How are we going to really go fast and use this content? Well, what we do is we just have the system rewrite it. If you want to go really, really fast, take this, go back to ChatGPT, say, please rewrite this content to be more engaging. Use shorter sentences, active tense. Make sure it makes perfect logical sense and does not stray from the topic. Paste it in and say go. Now there was too much. Okay, so you're going to encounter this. There was too much here in order to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to say how to advertise on Pinterest effectively. We're going to go, okay, what is Pinterest? We don't need to know what is Pinterest. Why Pinterest advertising works. That's what we're going to keep here. So we're just going to start cherry picking their content and rewriting it, quite frankly. We're just going to rewrite this part first is what we're going to do. I'm going to get rid of this, Control X, and then I'm going to say save and submit. So now the magic of ChatGPT is going to rewrite the content of our competitors. And boom, presto changeo, we're going to have an article. So this is going to be the H1. This is going to be the first paragraph. This is going to be the first para. Okay. Now we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to paste this in there. That's the stuff that we didn't get to rewrite yet. We have to break it down into sections. But like I said, if you weren't talking, within 5 minutes, you're going to have an article here, right? So we're going to take this. That's going to be the intro. I'm going to put this in here. Boom. Now, the H1, let's go here to the outline, and let's generate ourselves an H1 that we want to use really quick. So you have two options. You have the Rank Brain and Neural Matching Favorite, or you have the Query Intent Finder, which is more for BERT. So as we see here, you generate your H1. They call it page title because of the WYSIWYG editor, but it's the H1. You generate your page title or your H1 using either Rank Brain Neural Matching Favorite for more sales and transactional pages, or with the Query Intent Finder to either win the featured snippet or for informational pages. Given that it's an informational page, we're going to use the Query Intent Finder. I'll add in the winning words. If I'm doing super quick, this will be pretty good. If I wait until it emails me and go in here and do this, it'll be even better. I say submit. And the H1 it generates for me is how to advertise on Pinterest. That seems pretty good. So I'll put this here and say add. How to advertise on Pinterest. And then maybe I'll go learn how to create ads in the Pinterest platform. Maybe I'll add that one as well. Boom. So that is going to be our H1. It's different than the competitors. And then I've got the cool text we had here. Okay, so we don't want to do what is Pinterest. I don't know how that got there. This is going to be for why Pinterest advertising works. That's what we're doing here. Boink. Why Pinterest advertising works. Get it from ChatGPT. Come back here. Make sure you're rewriting the content of your competitor. You can do it that way and paste it in bits. Here's another way you can do it, all right? This is also built right in to Keyword Spy. You can rewrite the content. You can improve the content with our content improver here as well. And say 5 things to do before advertising on Pinterest. Just have to massage it a bit to make sure it works right. Take that and say improve this content. You'd want to try and do it right the first time because you're going to be eating into your credits. But okay, then we're going to replace that. Boom. Okay, so now that's been replaced. 5 things to do before advertising on Pinterest. Now, of course, this is what your competitors had, these 2 things, but you can have the same headings. It's not that big of a deal. You could also rewrite these as well. I could say, okay, rewrite this. Replace. I can say, okay, rewrite this too. Boom. Rewrite this as well. Replace. There we go. Now I can use the WYSIWYG editor. I could start making a list here if I want. 1, register for a business account. 2, claim your website. 3, install conversion tag. 4, upload your list, pin your content. So now that's done. And then it explains. Registering is free and takes less than a minute. Claiming requires editing code. Blah, 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 blah. You, of course, want to read this to make sure it's accurate, depending on how fast you want to go, however. You can rerun the content score to see where things are. Taking out some of the words has removed some of the optimization, but again, you're going quickly. And if you want to see here, the content, the entities. You want to see how much is being used. Say check work. And it'll tell you, okay, we're using 2 EMQs. We're using these phrases and these words that are highly weighted, which is good. It tells you the scores, everything you're using there. So anyhow, you would just go through this process and you would just rewrite the sections either by pasting it into ChatGPT or rewriting it here with the improved content, and presto changeo, you'd be done. You'd want to stuff a few more keywords in it to get the content score into the optimized. I would not go over optimized. I would get it pretty high. I would get it pretty high to optimized or optimized. And and you're not too far out in the predictability. You're not too far out in these other things. Your readability is pretty high as well, which is pretty good. So that's kind of what you want, and you could save it. And when you're done working on it, after you've done rewriting your competitor's content, using ChatGPT to do that, and/or our improved content to do that, or some combination. So you can click on Detect AI Writing to see if it's AI writing. That's a different way of testing than the Predictability Score, but the Predictability Score is better, quite frankly. It is working on a GLTR top K 10 tokens, most likely 10 tokens that are going to happen in a sentence. And it predicts that per sentence, how likely each sentence is based on the previous sentences. So there's nothing as good on the market as this Predictability Score here, quite frankly. And then you can also click here to share the content with your writers to check out. You can click here to detect any plagiarism, which it will because I didn't rewrite the whole thing. You can click here to copy it. You can click here to download it and export it. You can click here to save, and you can click here to say it's done in the system. If you're running a project, which I'll do in a separate tutorial to show you how to do that. So boom, there you go. In about 5 minutes, you get an article. You just pick another EMQ and go. You could do like what, 20 of those a day, 30 of those a day. Cranking out even 50 a day if you're going really quickly. Cranking out 50 pages a day, which has keywords built in, and you could see the predictability already, and you can modify that. For both the super quick method and then the super quick method, you do the exact same thing, except you just wait for those tests to be done, so all the winning words you imported are going to have the highest score possible that'll boost you as much as possible. Here's another way you can add just a little bit more time to that method to even increase your score even higher and get more into optimized. So what you're going to do here is you're going to go to the outline, and you're going to go down to subheadings. And you're going to put in this heading here, how to advertise on Pinterest, and put it in the parent heading. And you're going to use the AI to generate subheadings for you. What this is going to do is going to use the winning words to generate H2s here for you. They're going to be a little bit more on topic, and therefore are going to boost your content score a little bit higher to get into the optimized zone. Is it essential to get there? No, you can do quite well with slightly under the optimized zone. If you're over here, I would keep working on it for sure. But if you're over here closer to the optimized zone, then you're probably going to be pretty good. Okay, so that was both the super quick and effectively the super quick method as well. The difference between the super quick method and the super quick method basically is only in the super quick method, you're just waiting for all the tests to be done, and then it'll email you when it's done. So you have to wait, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. If the system's busy, maybe an hour. You keep putting in keywords, let it process in the background, go drink a beer, eat a burger, whatever it is you want to do. And then when it comes back and says it's done, then you go in and you do this super quick method of just getting ChatGPT to rewrite the content and/or our content rewriter to rewrite the content. Either way, you pick a competitor that looks like you, like what you want to do. You steal their HTML so you have the DOM vector, or just ignore all that if you don't care. Just go right to the content editor, pick a competitor, pick their content, and rewrite it. Presto changeo, you have yourself an SEO page, and you can just get going. Okay, so now let's look at in detail how the content editor works and show you pretty much all the different bells and whistles and all the features, and how I would go through in a surgical way to squeeze every little last bit of ranking juice out of it and get every little bit of benefit from all of the AI testing we do in the background and import that into the content editor when I'm writing content. Okay, so this is part 2, the full content editor tutorial. This is picking up from the reports I did where we looked at each of the reports for rank, brain, BERT, neural matching, image, entity. We picked all of this, the DOM vector, we did a competitor page analysis, This is for SEO University students only to generate test pages. It's not for public consumption, but it's super powerful. If you, when you join SEO University, you should definitely take a look at this. And finally, the results. And remember, the results have the scoring of all the different tests: the BERT test, the neuromatching rank brain test 1, and the neuromatching rank brain test 2, and score them appropriately for how powerful they are in terms of the different AIs of how Google works. And that makes a general score that bubbles up the words that all the AIs that are ranking pages are going to like the most. And now, when that's all done, now we can pull that into the content editor. Okay, so the first thing you can do, just to make sure you're working on the EMQ you want, what I would do is I would just put the EMQ in it, how to advertise on Pinterest. Here's a pro tip of finding out what is the bare minimum content you can have that has the amount of keyword weight you need to have. And it's a very simple tip. What you do is you take the EMQ and you paste it in a whole bunch of times, like a lot. And then you run the content score. You see you have 260 words and we're only at 7. So there are no keywords that are more powerful for how to advertise on Pinterest than the words in this order, how to advertise on Pinterest. So it's going to tell you at bare minimum how small your page needs to be before you're going to even get close to matching the keyword weight. So I was at 7% at 260. So I just pasted in 4 more times. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we're going to run content score again. And boom, now we're over optimized. So I got 2,800 words. See, you can see how that works? Because I used nothing but the EMQ and I went over the words of everybody else, obviously now I'm over optimized. So then you're like, oh, okay, I did too much. Let's pare it back here. Let's pare it back by this much and run the content score. And look at the predictability as well, right? Okay, I did way too many. Let's go back in here and get rid of a whole bunch and rerun the content score. Okay, so this is perfectly optimized. And I have 2,300 words. So there's only around 200 words of fluff when it comes down to it. Now, I got to be really careful. I am not saying in the super quick method, super quick, or the quick method, I am not saying that you can just stuff in the EMQ and that's what you want to do. Clearly this is too predictable. Clearly this is stuffed with the EMQ too much. If I run the content and I go here to entities, if I check the work, I'm using the EMQ 469 times. That is way too many times. And in the future, this will definitely be bolded red to show you you're using the EMQ too many times. That's a feature I want for the future. But it is telling me how I'm going to have to get close to their 2,500 word count on average in order to be optimized, because it took me 2,300 words of the most powerful words there are for this niche relative to this keyword to get into the optimized zone. Let's remove just a few more to see what the minimum is to be minimum optimized. Not enough. Let's remove some more. And if you just play with this a bit, you can kind of hack it and be like, okay, look, I want to get rid of some more like this. I'm at 1,900 words now. Where would be the bare minimum? There we go. Here we go. So this is what you want. The bare minimum optimized is about 2,000 words of the most powerful words there are, which are all the PMQs and the EMQ of the EMQ. It's all the partial match query words of the exact match query words. And Google, of course, used to work completely on this principle of specificity. Just how specifically are you exactly matching what they searched? It's not the only important thing anymore, and obviously it's way too predictable. You can't run it this way, right? But it is neat to see how many words of the EMQ would it take for me to be optimized compared to the density of the keywords and the breadth of the keywords compared to your competitors. It took me about 2,000 words to get optimized. So there's about 500 words of fluff here. Quite frankly, there's 20% fluff words All the other words need to be not repeating the EMQ, but they need to be AI keywords that you need to stay on topic, basically, and they need to be AI keywords that Keyword Spy is going to find for you. So that's really neat, and I like doing this first off to see how many words it'll take just to get for the NLP AI to determine that we are in the ratio of being optimized, but not over-optimized. We need to be in the 10 to 20%, or in this case, the 80 to 90% in this scale. That's where you want to be. And so it's quite interesting to see that it takes 2,000 words of the most powerful words to get there. That's how you know that your competitors either have fluff, they have too many words, or they have anything under 1,900 words is going to be too little. We know for a fact this is going to be a 2,000 word article. There's no way we could do any less and get anywhere close to have enough keyword density, enough keyword weight to rank for this keyword. So that's super interesting information that to put in your head. You know right away, okay, we're doing a 2,000 word article at bare minimum, probably far more, because we can't just repeat the EMQ again and again and again and again. We need to use some more of those highly scored words in results, because as you can see, it's not just the, let me make this bigger for you. As you can see, it's not just the how to advertise on Pinterest. It's advertising, it's on, it's ads, promote. These are all highly scored words too. So they're going to be giving you a lot of points for that content score. And it doesn't just have to be only the EMQs. Now is when we want to take the content brief that we were making, and this is going to be our guide in how we're going to create content. So I've got a RankBrain favored title here. I've got a BERT Neural Matching favored title here. I've got a URL already chosen here, which we think we're going to use here, based on the RankBrain words that seem to be better and the ultimate winning words from Keyword Spy. I've also got a meta description that got generated as well from the previous. I've also done the work of knowing how many headers, H1s I want, which is 1, and I want on average there to be 8 or 9 words. If I want to match the competition, I'd be using the same amount of keywords. The H2, there'd be 10 of them, using 45 words in total. H3 is 18, 90 words in total, and H4 is 10 words. And 31 words in total. I also know that I want the H1 to go in this kind of section here like this, which is a good thing. And I've already distilled all this, and I know how I'm going to do all this. I know I want a class in it. I've already checked all this information out of what it is I want to do. I know the image I want to use. I want to maximize my chances for a featured snippet, so I'm going to kind of do this in a different way than I showed you in the quick version. I know the H2s that I want and how that's going to look and where those are all going to go and how that's all going to look. And I've also gone into AI Spy, and it's actually the first thing I did after putting in a keyword, and I've generated the super secret knowledge that only someone with EAT, remember the acronym from Google, the experience, which they are using transformers to directly look for signs of experience, of expertise, of authority, and trustworthiness. They're using transformers, they're using AIs to directly looking for this. So you have to make sure your content shows this. People who know about this topic talk about it in a certain way. And if you don't talk about it that certain way, you are not going to rank as well, conceivably speaking. So we have artificial intelligences to reverse engineer and check that out and see how you would demonstrate firsthand knowledge, how you would prove that you're an expert, what tips you would do to make this all work, including pros and cons and the final tips here that we're probably going to use at the end of the article. And this was all AI generated. It's mostly safe to use. You might want to rewrite a little bit of it and check it for facts, but it's mostly safe to use. So what I would do, unless I want to do this by hand and plug in the HTML by hand, which I can, it's not that hard, quite frankly. Here's what I do. I go here, I take this, I go, now this will be done automatically for you one day, but right now I say, please take this example and make a body, make a tag structure to represent it. And without a little too much effort, ChatGPT should boink and go, okay, well, it made that for me. Okay, good, thank you. You just copy and paste this. You don't even need to know HTML. You copy and paste this, go to the HTML editor and go boink. Okay, this is the one that we knew. Now, H1 goes here. Now we also know that inside this article, we want to have, I believe it was another div here, I think. We wanted the header to have certain classes because we detected that these actually are be machine learned. So we go boink, okay, put that here. Just make sure you don't paste in the stupid word. Curlies, okay, then we want class post title. Okay, good. We found that our winners, when we did the analysis, had these, so we just post these in here as well. Boom, and boom. Very easy to do. Control A, Control C. I like to Control A, Control C and put everything in the paste buffer. So even if it messes up, I have it in the paste buffer. I have the image of what we want to use here. So I'm going to grab this and put the image outside of the header. And I'm just going to make sure that it's got the right quotations. It looks like it does. Now, you might be like, Josh, that is a competitor's image. I'm lifting off their page, literally loading it from Pinterest's site. Are they going to be a problem? No, I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say image courtesy of Pinterest. And if they have a problem with that, then fine, I'll change it. I'm not a lawyer. I can't give legal advice. This could be illegal. For all I know, it could make demons spawn from hell. Or it could make angels come down. I have no idea. Don't blame me. I'm just a guy with a beard. This tutorial is presented for entertainment only. All right, so Control A, Control C. I can also save it here. And boom, it's being added there. I can go back and I can say, okay, well, this should have a paragraph tag around it, or a paragraph tag there. Boom. Okay. Now, as I recall, we wanted it to go article div. Okay, so we want another div here. Div, and then we want to end the div. That's where all the content and the H2s are going to go. So now I'll put an H2 here, a second level heading, and I'll end the H2. Now, I believe, as I recall, we wanted a class equals whatever. Now I can just probably copy this stuff here like this. Like this. Boom. This I'll take here. And I will put here. As that's what we wanted. And I will just make sure that this is all appropriate. Quotations. Now, be careful not to name the classes here some class that you're already using in your style sheet. Or make sure to style it if you want to style it. Okay, that will work. PMQs are safe and advisable. They're a huge ranking factor. Okay, how many of these H2s did we want again? We wanted 10 in total. So I will take this, copy it. Now I'm getting the machine learned structure. That should give me boosts. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will be enough. You don't have to match it perfectly, but get close. And we know that PMQs are safe there. Now, how many H3s do we want? 18 of them. Oh my goodness. Apparently 18 of these is what we want. And how many H4s? 10. All right, well, that's a hell of a lot. Apparently that many of these. I'm going to use H3s. Use 18 of these to emphasize subheadings. Okay, so then I'm going to take this paragraph tag here, and I'll put this here. You can use and in lists. Remember, we can use this in lists too. It might be a good way to get that many in there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Control A, Control C, just to make sure we have all that. And the H4 is supposed to be 10 of them. And we'll say supposedly we're supposed to have 10 of these. Also in lists could be done as well. So I can also put that in lists, and I will just take this, Control C, and I'll go here like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we already have 10. Control A, Control C, and then save it. Boom. All right. Now we already have the structure. We have the structure of the article made. We have all the components that we need to put in it for HTML made. This is going to be very, very useful to us. Now there's a couple other things we could use. Image had a class in it. So let's go here to this image here and say it had a class. So we'll just put class equals yup. Okay, so it's in here. Control A, Control C, save it. So we did this. We want an EM. They wanted a form. They wanted a UL. They wanted a strong as well. That could have AI keywords in it. Okay, I'll remind myself of that. I don't know how. I can't remember how many strongs we were allowed. I should have written that down when we looked at it last time. I would have to remember which ones I chose last time. I can't remember which ones competitors I selected. I could reanalyze it, but I don't remember that. Again, in the future, we're not going to have to do this. We're going to do this all automatically for you in the future. Okay, so I'll take this. I will put this in here as well. Go in strong. And I will make sure that is like that. Control A, Control C, save it. Okay. And, I'm not going to bother with form right now. Emphasize as well. Remember, some can be emphasized as well. I'll just remind myself of that. Control, do that, and that should make it. I'll save it. That should make that EM. Yeah, it did. Great. Okay, so I pretty much got all of it. I'm also going to want lists, but I know I'm going to make lists anyway. How could you not make lists? These are all in lists. Everything's in a list. All right, so that pretty much dresses it every way that I want it dressed in terms of the HTML. So that's all done. So we have all that structure in there now. Now all we do is, now this is the form. Roughly, we can move things around. We don't have to have these H1s and H2s all in this order. Remember, these can be lists here too. These can be lists too. Just to remind myself as well. Okay. All right. So now I will save it again just to make sure we have it. Okay. So now I've used the content brief to get all the HTML and all the variances of all the headings that I want. I've got the right structure here that I want. See, the H1 is in the right structure here, which is what we want here, which I'll remind you for the super quick method, I just lucked out and picked the right competitor and got the exact same thing I wanted. That was a bit of a, that works more often than you would imagine, quite frankly. But our AI is going to do all this for you in the future, so it doesn't really matter. And I've already got the title and meta description decided here. I've got two different ones I can choose. Now, the Rank Brain one was how to advertise on Pinterest, your step-by-step guide. Bert Neuromatching was more how to advertise on Pinterest, promote your ads now. I like this one, quite frankly. I'm going to go for how to advertise on Pinterest, promote your ads now. I'm going to go for this URL. I'm going to go for this title, which I don't need to do in the content editor here. Later on, this will plug in directly into your content management system, maybe WordPress. And you can set this all here. Right now, I'm just going to have to copy and paste it, but that's fine. The meta description is chosen already. Now, what we want to do is we want to start generating the content. So I've already decided what the H1 is going to be. And I know it's how to advertise on Pinterest, learn how to create ads on Pinterest. That's a pretty good H1. So I paste that in there. Oops, it's pasting in the stuff from Microsoft Word. You might be like, Josh, when I paste from Word into these WYSIWYG editors, it always saves the style from Word. How do I stop it from doing that? Easy, no problem. What you do is you can Control-C this, paste it right here in the search bar. Then Control-A, Control-X. That will strip out any of the style, and so it's just straight text you're pasting in here, and it'll keep the level 1 heading. And you can check the code just to make sure you didn't mess it up. And here we are. We got the header with the class we wanted, and we got the code in there. It's perfect. Okay, so after you paste in the H1, now what do? The most important thing to do now is to ensure that we are answering the question to have the best chance of getting the featured snippet. So what we're going to do, and now this is going to be built into the content editor in the future, into the tool in the future. And right now it kind of is. If you go into outline, and you go into subheadings, it's going to start generating subheadings for you, and we're definitely going to be using the subheadings it generates here. But I want to make sure that under how to advertise on Pinterest, learn how to create ads on Pinterest, that I answer that question, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and of course, I'm going to slip over here to ChatGPT. I'm going to say, okay, ChatGPT, please answer this question raised in this H1 for me in 45 words or less. And we want 45 words or less because that there's a limit. We know that Google has admitted that it's the BERT transformer that has a limited token size that chooses the featured snippet. So you've got to make sure that this is around 45 words or less, and it has to directly answer this question or speak to the query intent of the user to get the featured snippet. And so this is fantastic, and this will be built in the system later, but right now we can use ChatGPT to do it. So it says, to advertise on Pinterest, you can create ads using Pinterest Ads Manager. First, you'll need to choose a campaign objective, target audience, then create pins for your ads. Finally, set your budget and launch a campaign. Pinterest provides various ad formats, including promoted pins, promoted video pins, and carousel ads. Now, you want to check to make sure this is accurate, and even if you're using ChatGPT to generate it, which you very well can, a subject matter expert should verify this. I'm not a subject matter expert on Pinterest advertising. I'm going to just skip that step, although you should not. You should definitely fact check this. As you well know, ChatGPT and Bing GPT, all the transformers are not, they don't think of truth the way humans do. They think of stories. This is all a story they're telling based on what everyone told them. So you need to check the factuality of this. Even in the future, when they say, oh, it's perfectly factual, make sure you check. Trust but verify, as Ronald Reagan once said. That's my favorite quote of his. Trust but verify. So here we go. But I'm going to just trust this blindly because I'm doing a demo for you guys, and I just want to show you how you would do it. So I take this and I go, okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go Shift Enter, Enter, and Paste. So to advertise on Pinterest, you can create ads, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to put this in a subscript. That's what I want. I want subscript. There we go. Image courtesy of Pinterest. Okay. Also, this might not be styled properly. You might have to add some style to this. When you paste this into your thing, you have to check. But this is basically how you want to structure it. So, how to advertise on Pinterest? To advertise on Pinterest, so this is perfect. It's telling the BERT, look it, this is the answer. This is how you do this. So that's for the featured snippet. That's perfect. All right. Now, what's the next thing that we do? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go here to the outline, and we're going to go to subheadings, and we're going to generate the subheadings we want to have as the structure of our article. Again, if you are a subject matter expert, you would either use this tool and change it as you see fit, or you would write your own article. You would write it from your own expertise, just making sure you're adding in all this helpful content that you're demonstrating your firsthand expertise. You're making sure that you're adding in all this helpful content that we pasted in from AI Spy, including the pros and cons and the final tips. However, as I said, I am not an expert on this, and quite often the SEO is not. Quite often the SEO is not an expert on the subject matter that they're writing about, but we still need to write an article about it. So that's what we're going to do. So here's how we go, and we're going to generate a structure for this article. We know we have a lot of H2s and H3s and H4s available to us that we can use. So we can have, and we know we need at least 2,000 words at the very least, probably closer to 2,300. Everyone else is at 2,500. So it's going to be a pretty long article, right? So we can have a lot of subheadings. So what I would do here is I would take the H1 and I would put this in here, and I would say generate subheadings. Now you're not going to notice the change because I already ran this before for another tutorial, or it might change a little bit. But what it's going to do is going to generate it tells you how many tokens you used. It generates all the subheadings for you that you want. So you got to use your human reason now a little bit. You have to be a bit of a subject matter expert, and you have to go, okay, the subheadings here, how to advertise on Pinterest, learn how to create ads on Pinterest. Where should we start? Basically, it says analyze performance of ads, optimize ads for maximum results, track and measure results. This is not quite what we want. This is too vague a heading to get an idea of what it is we're trying to do. So I'm going to say the first thing that we want to focus on is learn how to create ads on Pinterest, I think. Another thing you can use if you're confused is you can go here and you can go, if I want to write the best, most expert and informative and useful article on how to advertise on Pinterest, what should my main headings be under this H1? Give me my main headings, please, that are most useful So here, ChatGPT is going, okay, we're going to give you the headings that you might want to use. And you can choose. You can be like, okay, well, this sometimes generates really great headings and it's perfect. You don't need to do anything else. And sometimes I'm like, it's a little off base. I can also take Introduction to Pinterest Advertising, Understanding the Basics. I could say, okay, go from here maybe and generate me subheadings and see how well they work. Pretty soon we'll be plugging into ChatGPT for this. We are using Instruct 3.5, which is the basis to ChatGPT as well. But now we're getting benefits, maximizing, measuring, optimizing. Now it's giving me different headings, which are kind of useful. But I like the ChatGPT ones, quite frankly. And again, this is no substitute for experience. Quite frankly, a subject matter expert should be writing this in the content editor and using the AIs to kind of help them. But I like these. So I'm going to go Introduction to Pinterest Advertising, Understanding the Basics. That's going to be the first one. Boom. Oops. And again, it has style. So I need to go boom, Control A, Control X, and boom. So Intro to Pinterest Advertising, Understanding the Basics. Also, remember, PMQs are safe and advisable to use in H2s, and this has PMQs. Pinterest is a PMQ. Advertising is a PMQ. Understanding the Basics of Pinterest Ads. I'm going to stuff some more keywords to make sure that when we run the content score, we're going to have a good optimization to get to here. So I'm going to lean on the side of that. I'm going to say, okay, please write section 1 in detail. So again, normally a subject matter expert would be doing this for me. Right now, I'm going to do this. I might start in ChatGPT and then going into our tool, or I could just use our tool to do it. Pretty soon this will be all built in for you. You won't have to Alt-Tab to ChatGPT, but that's the general idea. And again, this is no substitute for a subject matter expert to write this. ChatGPT is nowhere near expert enough for some articles to be super, super useful. Another thing I could do is I should look here and say Introduction to Pinterest Advertising, Understanding the Basics. What here that I've already generated that displays EAT has that? So it's saying Pinterest is a popular social media platform that allows users to discover, save, and share. First, it's important that it's not free. To get started, you'll need to set up Pinterest advertising. Overall, Pinterest advertising provides a valuable opportunity for businesses to reach blah, 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 blah. So that's a good kind of intro, fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here, AI keywords go in strong. Okay, so there could be AI keywords in strong. So we want to make this strong here because it's got Pinterest and advertising, so we can put AI keywords in strong like our competitors had. So, and also bolded sometimes helps the user, so that's a good thing to do here too. Okay, so now we've got the first section here done. That looks good. We've stuffed in the right amount of keywords. We want to maybe emphasize this. Businesses can advertise on Pinterest through its advertising platform. Now we have keywords in there. I can't remember if we wanted keywords in the EM. Let's check out here. Some can be emphasized as well. Okay, good. Now, I think this is too early for our lists here we generated to demonstrate on first-hand experience. This is you should create visually appealing images, utilize the keywords. This is later on for sections that we generated. This might be good there, though. It says, experts say advertising on Pinterest is a great way to reach potential customers and increase brand awareness. They suggest creating visually appealing images. We suggest creating visually appealing images, using keywords, monitoring, Pinterest experiment, text and GIF. Okay, so I'm going to take this that was already generated, and I'm going to put it in here as a cutout. Okay, so I needed to, I would have checked with my competitors to see, are you allowed to have cutouts and things like that? I'm going to put this in a block quote so it stands out. So you can do that with the WYSIWYG editor tool. So experts say advertising on Pinterest is a great way to reach potential customers and increase brand awareness. And I'm going to make this bolded as well. Great. So now I'm going to save this. Great. So now I'm selling it. It is an advertorial too, of course, remember. So now I'm selling it. Let's rerun the content score. All right, we already got 1,000 words. And we're at 9. Great. Okay. We might need to make that a bit smaller. That might be a little bit too much, but we'll find out. Obviously under optimized, but the readability is good. It's too predictable still, but the predictability is coming down because I have a bunch of repetitiveness here. Okay, so now we're going to do the next section that comes out of here. Setting up Pinterest advertising account, a step-by-step guide. It likes the step-by-step, doesn't it? So I'm going to have to wash that, Control-A, Control-X, put that back here, boom. A step-by-step guide. I don't want that in the content. I'm going to say, setting up your Pinterest advertising account. And now I'm going to say, okay, please write section 2 in detail. Now, setting up the guide, do we have that information here yet? And I will say, factor in any of this information that is going to be useful. So I'll highlight all this. And I'll say, factor in any of this information that will be useful. Not the pros and cons. And remember, section 2, just to remind it so it doesn't forget, was setting up your Pinterest account, a step-by-step guide. And I'm going to say, always remember to demonstrate first-hand experience and a depth of knowledge. Okay, so let's write section 2 now. And now, hopefully, if I've prompted it right, it's going to write it for me, factoring in all the information we pulled before that is useful. So let's see if it's doing it the right thing we want. It says section 2, setting up a Pinterest account, step-by-step guide. It says before you can create Pinterest ads, you need to set up a Pinterest advertising account. That's good. Here's a step-by-step guide to help get you started. 1, create a Pinterest business account. If you don't already have a business account on Pinterest, you'll need to create one. To do so, go to the website and click Join as a Business. You're going to want to make sure this is factual. Of course, you need to check that. Set up your ads account. Once you have a business account, you'll need to set up your ads account. To do so, go to Pinterest Ads Manager and say create an ad. Follow the prompts to select a country, currency, and payment method. Again, that's very useful. Just make sure that's accurate. Choose your campaign objective. The next step is to choose your campaign objective. This will depend on what you want to achieve with your ads, such as driving traffic to your website, boosting brand awareness, or increasing sales. 4, set your targeting and budget. Once you have chosen your campaign objective, you'll need to set your targeting and budget, create your ad group, launch your campaign, monitor and adjust. It says, by following these steps, you'll be able to set up a Pinterest advertising account, start creating effective ad campaigns, and reach your desired audience. Remember to create visually appealing images utilizing keywords. So that looks pretty good. So we're going to copy this. And we're going to go in here. And we're going to paste this in. Boink. And it does an ordered list for us. Let's just save this to make sure it pasted that as an ordered list. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to highlight this so that when I go into this thing here, I can Control F, V, check this out. No, not bookmark. Control F, V, check this out. Is it an ordered list? Yes, it's an ordered list. Great. Okay. Now, look at this. Remember, we had a bunch of H4s we wanted to use. And so I'm going to use these H4s. These H4s here that we want to use, and you're like, are you sure they're H4s? Yes, they're H4s. See? The H4s we wanted to use here, I'm going to use above for the list that they made here. And so this I'm going to make an H4. It really depends on how you want it to look, but I need to do this so that it has got the H4s I want. And you can do this pretty easily like this. Now, I can't remember if H4s are supposed to have keywords. They're going to. You might have to play with it a little bit just to get it just perfect, but fine. I would go through and I would do the rest. So I'm going to do the rest as H4s. Okay, so now I've set up 7 H4s. I don't need all these H4s at the bottom here anymore. So I'm going to delete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them from here. And that gets marked off like that. And that's how I know I'm using up all the HTML that I checked painstakingly to make sure that I was in the niche. And I'm going to emphasize that so that hopefully people see it. That's not that viewable, but and this is very, very bolded. I might not want to eventually do that, but it's okay. It's up to you if you want to run that. And you can see the words are increasing, the predictability is getting lower, the content score is getting better. And you can start looking also under in content in the entities. I could have also generated the helpful content here in product AI stuff and moved it over here as well, and the images as well. You can just generate it here, but I like doing it in the AI Spy. You could have generated the product stuff here. I like doing that in the AI Spy because you can drill down. And you could just got your winning images here. You could add more if you want as well, automatically into the content editor. If you check the entities here and say check work, it's going to check automatically how many times. Oh, we've only used the EMQ once. We definitely want to use that one more time. So let's go up here. Boom. You have to read and find a good place to stuff the keyword in again. So I would probably add this in one more time. It's hard for me to write and think and demo at the same time. Okay, then we're going to go back here and we're going to say, okay, what is section 3? Creating your first Pinterest ad campaign, tips and best practices. This will be the next one. Please don't repeat what is above too much unless it is important. Please make sure to add any missing important details from the lists above to demonstrate expertise and make the content super useful with useful tips for the user. Above in sections 2 to 3, too much. There we go. And so just fixing my typos. And now it's going to write that. Now, while it's writing that, I'm going to be putting section 3 here. So let's paste that in. Control X. So boom. Creating your first Pinterest ad campaign. And let's see how far they've gotten along here. All right, so it says now that you've set up your Pinterest advertising account, it's time to create your first ads campaign. Here are some tips and best practices to help you create effective Pinterest ads that resonate with your target audience. Choose the right ad format, etc., etc., etc. By following these tips and best practices, you'll be able to create effective Pinterest ad campaigns that reach your desired audience and achieve your business goals. Remember to use eye-catching visuals, write compelling copy, target the audience, blah, 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 set a realistic thing. This sounds pretty good. Again, I'm not a subject matter expert, and it's danger for me to just write this and assume that ChatGPT is going to be right. But welcome to SEO in 2023. So boom. Okay. Again, we've added this in. Let's go here to outline. Let's rerun the content score. We got 1,700 words. Now we're getting higher up here. So again, we have more H3s and H2s, that H4s we want to be using here. So I could use more H4s in the list here. Also, if I wanted to, you get the idea. You want to massage it out so that the HTML is both looking good, but also matching kind of the machine learning of your competitors. So basically now it's a rinse repeat of getting the different sections in, getting the article all dressed up, and getting the right article set. The page structure subtab has all the DOM vector information. Now this is going to be improved in the future, but this is just like you would get under reports. Under DOM vector, you select the pages that you want to kind of analyze and take a look at, and the ones you want to emulate. It works the same here in page structure. It works exactly the same. Under DOM vector, you'd select one of the competitors that you want to be like, and then you would go down and say submit. Then it shows you their HTML and JSON format. You can go, okay, look at where their SVG tag is, and look where all the different tags are and how I could port this in and use this. And that's how you would use that. And then in the future, we're going to pull out the tags you should be paying attention to in popular HTML tags and put them here as well. That's what I did manually in the previous tutorials. This will be done for you automatically in the future. Okay, and so now we're all done. Let's see how we made out with our total article. As you can see, I've now fleshed it all in. I've used all the H3s and H4s I want to use. I've used all the lists I want to use. I added in the pros and cons from the content brief that we had here before. I added in the final tips that we had here from before. I even used ChatGPT to leverage its knowledge to tell me what the experts say is most important for the final tips that I thought were pretty good final tips. I thought those were pretty useful, and they're top tips and advice for the user. I added those all in here, and when I rerun the content score, I'm in the optimized zone. I'm in 90, exactly where I want to be. It is a little more. It's about 1,000 words more than the average, but that's fine. That's not necessarily a problem, as long as you're staying on topic. If you remain on topic, that's what you want to be. I've got the right HTML input embedded there to get the best boosts. Because I used H3s and H4s on big, long bits of sentences, because I didn't want to do that and mess with it, and I didn't want to do this and mess with it. You know, visually it might not look great. I could change this and I could pare this down. This is a little concerning if I don't rank well. This is a little concerning if I don't rank well. Again, this is just a demo to write the article. I would have to play with it maybe for a little while longer to get it really on topic. A good way of doing that is if you need to pare down some of the content, what you can do if you don't want to have lists anymore, is you can just highlight all this information, by the way, and go up here to rewrite this content, and it will rewrite it in a way that is not a long list, and it will reduce words. So you can do it that way as well and close it, and it can rewrite it in that regard. It kind of left it, sometimes it'll put bullet points in there, sometimes it won't. It really all depends on what the AI is thinking when you do it. But I think this is pretty good for what we have here. I did another article before, and it ended up being a little bit shorter, a little bit better in terms of shortness, but the content score isn't quite in the optimized, but it is slightly less in terms of the word count. So you got to kind of play with it and figure out what's going to work for you. But on this one that we're doing here, it's looking pretty good. It's got kind of what we want. It's got all the HTML we want. And I managed to get into the optimized zone without, you'll notice here in the content under entities, if I check the work, as you can see here, I used the other keywords enough. I didn't have to stuff in the EMQ again. I think that's a good balance of using it. You wouldn't want to stuff in the EMQ more than once or twice anyway on these pages. I'm using all the highly scored words here, as you can see, using to, Pinterest, ads, on, I'm using all this a lot and getting, tons of points, tons of scoring points. Obviously, that's how I get into the optimized zone. Again, I'm just doing this for the demo. If I wanted to be super careful, I might watch this word count. It might be a little too big, but it should be fine. I am in the optimized zone, and that's what matters at the end of the day. The readability is quite high because I'm using technical knowledge, but that's fine. That's probably what's going to happen. This is more of a pro article of how to do this, and I think users are going to enjoy that. The sentiment is positive, which is what I want to do. The predictability is still 75% predictable because, as you well know, I didn't use I cheated it. I didn't use a subject matter expert. I used ChatGPT to write the whole thing. And so just straight ChatGPT is going to be a little bit more predictable in our super duper hard to fool predictability for the top K10 most used. We're going to add in colors in here so you can see, and drop down so you can choose and make this less predictable, much easier in future versions. This is just the start, folks, of the tool, and how cool it is that you can get all this weighted content. You can also get the DOM vector in here. It'll tell you what HTML tags to be using in future versions. You can get you can check the entire work and get our patented score. It's not patented at all. We might patent it, but our secret score of how to add it all up from all the different AIs that Google is using, not just making up scores for other AIs that Google is not using. As I explained in the reports tutorial, we're actually checking the actual AIs that Google actually has published they're using, and we are analyzing those to get you the results that you would use here in the content editor. So, I think this would be good enough to index it and go with it to see how well it indexes. It is a little bit more than what has been used before. Again, that's about 1,000 words more, but it has to do with being in, it doesn't really matter as long as you're in the optimization zone. Personally, for me, being a super risk-averse SEO, again, as I said, I might want to play with it a bit more, add in more keywords, maybe put in another EMQ in here so we can get these words down to closer to this and stay optimized. And again, I was just going quickly to show you how you could throw in the H3s and H4s. If you didn't like the way this looked, obviously you wouldn't be doing it. You could style this to look differently as well. You could plan it out a bit better so that you wouldn't be having way more words and headings than they have. They only have 144 and 34 headings. We have 29 headings, but we have 1,002 words. That's because I made all these headings per se. So if I was being super risk averse, I might avoid that too. But otherwise, and the first paragraph being slightly less doesn't matter at all. We want our first paragraph to be slightly less because we want to try to get the featured snippet, which will obviate any of these factors anyway. If I get the featured snippet, it'll be boosted up to position 0, and this kind of stuff's not going to matter at all. But I think in an article like this where they want more information, that the readability is a little bit harder than your standard readability, I think is good. And I think that the words are more, this is an in-depth article really telling you how to advertise for this in ways that are important. I think that this is a good article, even though ChatGPT wrote it. I might have my content editor go through and edit it, and that's how you get the 1,000 words down, and you edit it, some of the headings, and they would edit some of these and change this, so this is not a heading, that kind of a deal. And that might work a little bit better in getting this in variance as well. But all in all, I would be perfectly confident with indexing this page and going with it. So that is how you use Content Editor. Again, you can use it super, super quick and just borrow a competitor's content in HTML that looks applicable to you, rewrite the thing either with ChatGPT or with our rewriter, or it's going to be built into the tool in the future. Just a press button rewrite will be built into the tool in the future. Super quick. The middle one is just wait for all the tests to be done and then do the super, super quick method. And then finally, the surgical method, like I did, is going through and surgically kind of making every section, building it out using our section suggestions or ChatGPT's. Pretty soon, ChatGPT will be worked right into the tool anyway. So it's up to you. Or, having a real subject matter expert actually showing expertise, maybe a crazy idea. I don't know. Maybe that's what Google's looking for. And remember to use all those helpful tips from AI Spy that you pulled earlier, that you can also do in the content editor as well, to pull in the most helpful content to demonstrate your expertise. And also, if you're reviewing a product, don't forget to use the product review stuff there too. So good luck in the SERPs. I know content editors want to work for you. We are having great results with content editor, and it's only going to get better from here. Make sure to get into that grandfathered price now so you can do your SEO for cheap in the future. Good luck.